Hello, loves. This is how a narcissist has become a narcissist. Somewhere along the line, most likely through childhood. However, this could happen at any time, but most of the time this happens through childhood. So they carry these traits along their whole entire lives. Something happened when they were young where they were not allowed to express their emotions. Maybe they were put on a pedestal and treated as if they were perfect, superior to others. They were not taught how to handle emotions or accountability. If they had any kind of emotions, they weren't allowed to have the emotions, so they learned to suppress them. Spoiling a child, placing them on a pedestal, making them more entitled to others, praising them for outside things instead of who they are on the inside. They were never taught boundaries. They never were taught empathy. They were not taught how to handle normal disappointments. Some of them were emotionally neglected. They were not provided with support in a safe environment. Some of them had harsh criticism where they would experience severe judgment that would make them feel worthless or flawed. Or they were treated like as if they were flawless and they could never do no wrong. So they could have had, all of these happen or just a few things happen, but somewhere along the line as they were growing up, this is what they learned. So they were conditioned to validation. They learned that they are only loved when they succeed, win, or look perfect. They learned suppression of their true feelings. Expressing sadness, fear, or weakness was punished or ignored, forcing the child to shut down their authentic emotions. So throughout time, they constructed a false self to cope with who they are or how they felt. They put up a protective barrier, a shield, giving themselves an illusion of being invulnerable and superior to others. So throughout time, they have pushed all of these things on the inside and created a false mask. That is why a lot of them need a lot of admiration, and they like to do a lot of things for people to get the praise that they need from the outside world. So they will go around and do a lot of nice things for people and be an open door for everyone, thinking that they are such a nice person because they do so much for everyone. But that is how they make themselves feel better and feel like they are doing something good. Everything is an outside appearance. It's not anything from the inside. They aren't doing things for people on a genuine level. It's just to help them to feel like they are doing good and that they are a good person, but nothing really comes from the inside because they don't have the genuine empathy that we have. So as they have gotten older, they have carried this around and they have, pretended that they are something that they are not for so long, instead of doing the work of healing themselves from whatever trauma they may have had, instead of, healing themselves on the inside and taking a look at themselves. A lot of them are now adults and they have done this their whole life, so they still can't see that they do any wrong. These traits have caused them to have a hardened heart. They don't have any genuine empathy. They are emotionally immature. They do not know how to handle emotions because they were neglected emotionally. They have carried this around for so long that they have become an empty vessel on the inside without any true love, empathy, remorse, regret, because they have built such a hardened wall around all of that. Throughout time, they do not forgive for things. They carry hate on the inside. They carry unforgiveness on the inside, resentments. They have not forgiven. They have not come to God for anything. They have not come to know Jesus. And they do not do any kind of self-reflection. So they push it all in and they keep it on the inside, which is not good for them, because now they are an empty vessel, which causes dark forces to be able to enter. So when you carry all of that negativity on the inside, but portray on the outside that you're something that you're not, everything on the inside is who you really are, and it will all eventually come out. So as they get older, it just hurts them more on the inside. They become spiritually depleted. They become more angry. Everything gets worse throughout time. And since we are very empathetic people, it's like we we want them to change, and we came into certain people's lives to shine a light on those dark shadows that they had on the inside that were unhealed. And God brought you into their life for a reason, to show them these things, because they've gotten away with it for a long time. See, a lot of them, they have just been around people who enable that type of thing. And so maybe that is the pattern that they are used to. They are used to just living that kind of life and getting away with doing what they do. A lot of people don't see who they really are or know who they really are. And the ones that do, they just enable it. And they are also people who do not have boundaries or have, take accountability for anything or believe in any kind of self growth or empathy. So most of their closest friends or whatever, they are just like them, you know. And so they feel more comfortable in those types of atmospheres. And that is why when God placed you in their life, they saw you as someone evil, because you brought all of these things out of them, and they try to blame you like you made them that way. But really, it was just God showing them the things that they needed to finally work on within themselves, but they still refuse to do so. And the thing is all of this, all of their, their hardened hearts and all of the resentment, all of the unrepentant sin, all of the pride, all of the arrogance, all the unforgiveness, all of the unhealed trauma, all of the everything that they hold on the inside that you brought out, has caused them to keep the door open for dark forces and negative entities to reside within them. And that is why they do the things that they do, and they continue to do the things that they do without even caring and just turning a blind eye. So they've had chances, plenty of chances, and they were supposed to, repent, take a look at themselves, but it's really hard for them to do so. Most of them will not. I mean, if they came to Jesus and God and surrendered themselves, they could get help. But they really believe that they do no wrong because this has been going on their whole entire lives. And even some of us, we've had things like this happen in our lives, but we have faced our dark shadows. We have healed ourselves. We take a look at ourselves because we don't like the way it feels on the inside. So we change. We go to God. We change ourselves. We look at ourselves. We do the work on ourselves. But for some reason with these people, they have so much arrogance and pride that they don't want to believe that there is even anything wrong with them. And so they are being used, by these demonic spirits to come up against people like you who have all this genuine empathy, and they don't have all of that real empathy and love on the inside, so they try to use you for all of your energy, because as they get older they run out of all of this energy mentally and physically, so they have to find supply other people who have that real energy to suck it away from them, to take it, to regenerate themselves, to fill themselves up. They think that everything on the outside is going to fill them up, outside things. That's not what's going to make them feel better, only temporarily, but really on the inside they're going to be living in a mental prison and decaying on the inside because they have no spiritual growth. There's no way to live like that, you know? So everything comes out in the end as they get older. They can't keep holding it on the inside. It becomes harder as they get older. They start to become more angry about things. They can't hold up the facade. They can't remember all the lies. So it's really unfortunate. I mean, we're empathetic people and we just want to help them and make them change. But at the same time, we cannot deal with the burdens that they are trying to place on us and let them suck all of our energy out as they refuse to look at themselves, because most of them, the majority of them, they will not even watch a video. They don't believe in any kind of constructive criticism. They don't believe in any type of counseling, you know. I mean, because they think they're perfect. So that ruins their ego of who they have built, the facade of who they have built, of who they are, because they have really believed that they do no wrong and they are perfect. But God put you in there for a reason, because you have this light about you. And so that's why they went up against you so hard. That's why they treated you worse than anyone they ever treated, because God put you there for a reason, so that they could change and do better, but they didn't want to. And so it's not up to us to carry everyone through. We can only plant our seeds, because we're not going to deal with, you know, them taking us down just for us to try to convince them over and over again, when you know how it is to try to get them to understand or even realize anything. They refuse. It's like there's a wall there. They can't see it that way. So we just have to let them go. But everything, that they did is not right. They don't know how to handle emotions. That's why they emotionally abuse. They really are not spiritual, even though they pretended. That's why they spiritually abused you and try to take all your spiritual gifts. So they pretended, just like Satan, the devil. They pretended to be like you, or that something that they were not, so they could be around you and take all of your energy and place all their burdens onto you. But, like I said, we can't feel sorry for them. They've had plenty of chances and plenty of time. You know, it is a sad thing, but at the same time, like I said, we're not going to deal with what they're going to do to us and acting that way, because that just prevents us from our growth. That keeps us off of our spiritual path, the things that they want to do. And that's what Satan, the devil himself, wants to do, because like I said, because of them not healing on the inside and all of that, it has caused open doors for dark entities and dark forces to reside within them all of this time, no matter how much they pretend and say that that's not the case. That is the case. Otherwise they wouldn't act the way they do. They wouldn't do the things that they do. They would be a real genuine authentic loving empathetic person, and they would be able to have normal emotional conversations, but that's not the case. Instead, they will do the worst and the most to turn it around on you, like you were the bad one. You were the horrible person that made them do this, they say. They try to say that you made them this way, but you didn't. You just brought out everything that was unhealed that they should have taken a look at and went to God with, and at least ask for forgiveness. But instead they want to pretend like they did nothing, because that's what they've learned. They've learned that they can't do no wrong. They are very prideful and arrogant, but really they are emotionally insecure and they are weak on the inside. So that's just a little bit about how narcissists become the way that they are. And just keep shining your light. This is spiritual warfare. God uses you for a reason. You have that wonderful, genuine light within you. There's plenty of people that want to be around you for good reasons and that do have good intentions. At the same time, God, uses us in the spiritual warfare to shine the light on the people who are not supposed to be in our lives either, or for them to come to know God. And it's not up to us to try to force them or make them see it that way. We just be who we are, and they will do what they do, and God will handle the rest. So anyways, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.